Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Oh, we've had some time to be away, and as you can see, I'm still away. But it is graciously. I could have put my background up, but I didn't want to. Uh, I just didn't. I didn't. I just wanted to be me. And so, with that said, I am here and I am so excited to be here for our next week of sessions. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We are here together to gain more perspective on what we need to do to make sure that we are constantly developing our new image. Because now that we have a fresh start, it brings a new image. All right. Hi, for those that are just joining me, I'm Shauna Grace, and I am a certified life coach, and my specialty area is relationships, especially enjoying the presence of each other. And my uh, in that specialty, I deal with the person themselves. See, you can't enjoy nobody else if you can't enjoy yourself. And that's this is the road I have and do continue to walk. And I'm excited to carry you along with me. Um, we have talked about last week, we ended off talking about what are you saying to yourself. We spent, I think, a couple of weeks talking about how in Matthew 16:13 through 16, Jesus said, what's the word on the street? He started off in the 13th verse, and I'm just putting it in our language. What's the word on the street? And when they told him what the word was on the street, then he said, okay, what's your word? Because he knew what his word was, but his inner circle that hung with him every day, he wanted to know, do y'all think like I think, or do I need to get some more folk to be in my circle? Because I don't need nobody in my circle whose opinion of me is different than what my opinion of me is. So that's where we left off. I gave you four things to say to yourself from Thursday up until well, it's morning for me, but you may be in the afternoon or evening time zone listening to, uh, joining in with our session. And so um, we, we this is where we are and what we are doing. And those four words were um, good and very good. In Genesis, that's what Daddy said. And those that have been following me know I call God Daddy. Daddy said everything He made was good and very good. He made us. So we're good and very good. Number two, in Psalms, He told us we are fearfully, excuse me, matter of fact, the good and very good was in Genesis 1. In Psalms 139, and specifically the 14th verse, said we are fearfully and wonderfully made. That same verse right after that says we are marvelous work. And then Ephesians tells us uh, that we are royalty. We are royalty. So, matter of fact, he said we are royal priesthood. So that puts us pretty high on the Richter scale. Okay. And I told you to say, focus on those four words. And I wonder, how did it happen? Work. Excuse me. How did it work? I don't have my mug because I didn't bring it. I should have got two, one for here. and one because I come up here sometimes and I still have my mug, and then one at home in my office. So, but one thing about it, I do have the cup of faith, and I don't know if you remember, those of you with me, if you remember what I said about faith. It takes faith to maintain your fresh start so that your new image continues to develop. It takes faith to do that. And yes, I am a believer, and I believe in taking the holy writings. They're not just for Wednesday night Bible study and Sunday morning go to the house of the Lord service. That's not all that it's for. That's some of it. That's about that much of it. But this much is for us to live the abundant life. He came through Jesus, our big brother, his only son, to give us. And so having a fresh start so you can develop that new image is a it's that abundant life on a big scale. Okay. So therefore, um, I want you to know that we must, y'all, I'm trying to get it right. That's that part there. And it's doing a good it's doing a good part. And you all can now see my clock. But this is what I need you to understand is that your words, what are you saying about you? Okay. Y'all still waking up. Oh, stop. uh, because I'm woke, but I guess my body and everything else that goes with it is waking up as well. Um, we've been talking for the last couple of weeks. What's the word on the street? What's the inner circle's word? What's the inner circle of the inner circle's word? Okay, because Jesus had 12 boys in his circle, but then he had an inner circle in that circle, Peter, James, and John. So he wanted to know, hey, what's in y'all head about me? And when Peter stood up, as I talked about for the last 2 weeks, and said, "Oh, you the Christ, the Son of the Living God. We know who you are." Because nobody can do all of this except they have come from God. Oh, we know who you are, honey. We got you. And so, with that said, um, now we want to talk this week about who do you say you are. Now, I gave you those 4 words because I wanted, if your talk about you is doesn't match those 4 words, oh, we have work to do. We have work to do. And what you got to understand is that in doing that, in doing that, we get to know. Now, in our royalty, I talked about William and Harry. In our royalty, did we not talk about they know who they are? They walk with it. They come out the door knowing it. Nobody has to tell them because it's what they have said about to themselves and about themselves based on who they are. Based on who they are. Okay? They know they're royalty. And guess what? You're royalty too. And that's in First Peter, the second chapter, ninth verse. You are a chosen generation. Next word, royal. Royal priesthood. You royalty. You must think of yourself as that. You cannot afford to think of yourself as anything else but royalty. That's it. Nothing else. I hope you have your mug and you're enjoying your beverage with me. When you find when Harry and William were born to Diana, to the late Lady Diana, Queen Diana. Excuse me, not Queen. Lady Diana, because Charles hadn't become the king yet. When they were born, they didn't know what they were. They didn't. How could they? They were just babies. I mean, they people all around them and grinning and folk talking about who they are. And Charles and Diana will come out, on the royal balcony, and people are able to see the baby and all of this kind of thing, and you know, and so, but the babies themselves didn't know who they were. But as they grew, they were told, they were shaped. Yeah, they were told and they were shaped in how to be royalty. They were told that they were royalty. Okay. They were told that they were royalty, and they were groomed. Those boys were groomed to know this is how you act as royalty. These are the things you do. These are the things you don't do. This is how you carry yourself. This is how you do not carry yourself. You see what I'm saying? Well, in regular human life, we're not taught that so much. Okay? They don't say, oh, look at the royal baby. They just say, oh, look at the baby. Nobody grooms you and tells you, and I'm guilty of it. I raised my children to know who they were, but I didn't put the royalty piece on it, except for when we were in service. But when the benediction is said and you come out of service, you're still royalty. Yeah, you're still royalty. And that's what you have to know. I am royalty. When you know who you are, it changes everything about you, and it causes people to know about you. Everybody, not just, excuse me, not just the folk around that are in Great Britain. They're not the only folks that know William and Harry are royalty. The whole world knows. The whole world knows that William and Harry are royalty. And now that they have children, everybody knows their children are royalty. Now, even though Harry uh, left his royal duties because of things that was going on, and I can only imagine. Excuse me. The fact that he's still royalty does not change. He was still born the grandson of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. He was still born the son of King Charles and Lady Diana. He was still born royalty. I don't care where that little redhead boy go. Of course, he's a man, but at our age, I don't care where that little redhead boy go. Everybody knows he's royalty. I even the folk that's mad with him for leaving, even the folks that want to say, well, he over here in America now, he ain't royalty no more. He was born royalty. He will never not be royalty. He will never not be royalty. Never not be royalty. You get me? You'll never not be royalty. It won't happen. And I'll tell you why. When you're born that way, nobody can erase it. Now, Lady Diana was not born royalty. She was born an Englander. Okay. However, she married into royalty. Marrying into royalty, she will always be known as royalty. Kate, Princess Kate, and Princess Meghan. Yeah, they call her Meghan because she was brought into royalty. Harry loved what he saw. He loved who she was, and he wanted that in his life. So he went for it. Okay? He went for it. All right? Now, the choices doesn't stop his royalty. Even if his daddy decides that, I don't have but one son who's royalty, they can't erase the fact this boy was born royalty. You marrying into something and you being born something is two different things. And folk can say what they want to say, okay? Folk can say what they want to say. He'll always be royalty. I don't care where he go. Just because he is not doing royal duties does not mean he's not royalty. The boy was born royalty. How you gonna tell somebody who was born royalty? They ain't royalty no more. That won't ever happen. Now, let's bring that back to you. Let's bring that back to you. You were born royalty. Adam and Eve were created royalty. Excuse me. Because in Genesis 1:26, Daddy said to his son, let us make man in our image, in our likeness. We were created from royalty. Excuse me. Then, after making, excuse me, then after making royalty, he blew his royal self in to man, and man became a living soul. What he created came alive. So they were created royalty. We were born royalty. Now, it doesn't take away from Adam and Eve because they didn't come through the ranks. We did. But the fact of it was because they were royalty, every human being on the face of this earth was created royalty. Every one of us. Every one of us was created royalty. Therefore, in doing that and being born that way, we got to come back to who we are. We're royalty. And I'm so glad to be back. Let me tell you something. I am so glad to be back. I don't know what to do. Because, see, nobody told me that. Nobody raised me. Oh, they told me I was important and stuff like that, but they didn't treat me that way. But now that I know, and it's been some years now that I know who I am, honey, I'm maintaining royalty. I am maintaining royalty. Do you understand me? I'm maintaining royalty. And I'm getting better at it every day. I'm getting better at it every day. You know why? Because of what I say about myself. I'm agreeing with Daddy. Daddy said I'm a royal priesthood. I'm chosen. First of all, you're chosen. Good Lord, come on. When you're chosen, what that means is, when you're chosen, what that means is you were handpicked, special. I don't care what your environment says about you. I don't care how they treat you. It's how you treat yourself. It's how you treat yourself. There could be 20 people in front of me right now saying, you ain't nothing. You about this big. We don't value you. Oh, they could be saying all kind of stuff. And I would just sit there and smile at them. You said, how can you smile with people saying stuff like that? Because I know what I say about myself. See, I used to hear stuff like that growing up, all up into a lot of my adulthood. And oh, it would just crush me. Guess what? It doesn't crush me anymore. You know why it crushed me then? Because I wasn't saying anything about myself. That's why it crushed me. I wasn't saying anything about myself. So all that they said just dumped in my spirit. It just filled my mind. And that's all I could think about was that. That's all I could think about. You get me? And when that's all you can think about, whether you know it or not, your behavior starts confirming that. The way you carry yourself, the way you respond to life starts confirming what people said because you haven't said anything. You going by what they said. Even you said, well, when your mom and your dad, my mom left me in a New York apartment. Let me help you out. My biological mother left me in a New York apartment. Newborn baby. I hadn't had time to do that. I didn't even know I was in this world. And she left me. Now, at first, I thought it was because she didn't want me, whoever. And I knew somebody who, because the man didn't love her, she went and took the baby to his mother and walked off. Now, they have met up since then and recalibrated, and they're doing good now. But when that child was born, mm-mm. And I begged her. I said, "Don't do this. You'll regret it." She said, I'm not raising this baby by myself. He don't want me. I don't want his child. And she meant every word of it. I watched her walk in there and take that baby to his mama. And she told him, there's his baby. Now, thank God for the grandmother, his mom of the baby, who she had to have kept that love alive for the mother, hoping that someday that the mother would rethink what she'd done. This young girl was 18. She wasn't getting ready to do it. She had so much going on in her life. It was just, I can't even go back into it. She knows it. And we're still sisters today. We're still sisters today. However, however, this is where we are with everything. This is where we are. You have to know what you say about you. When Daddy pushed reset on my life, he pushed reset on my thought process, which pushed reset on everything because my mindset was totally different. I don't even care what nobody think about me. Think anything you want to think about me. Now, Don't get me wrong. There's some people, depending on who it is, you wonder, you it hits now. Let's keep it real. It hits how folks who are supposed to think good about you can think so evil, have such hatred, resentment, and bitterness in their heart towards you. Oh, it hits. But when you get to know who you are, mm-mm, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing it. You get what I'm saying? That's just it. We're not doing it. And what you have to understand is in not doing it, you get to kick those thoughts out of your head. I have a situation. I guess you said, oh, you have a lot. I said, no, 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 no. That's life. Life is full of situations. It's how you respond to them that makes them last forever or be momentarily. And I have not been treated correctly. But guess what? It's okay. I had a opportunity to say what I needed to say, very kind but firm. And once I got it out, I was done. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. I had questions because of who it was. And I just went to them and I asked them, I said, how was this thing? Because here's the thing, when people can treat you very ugly and have very ugly thoughts about you, go back in that childhood and find out where is that coming from? Where is it coming from? Okay, where is it coming from? Okay, so once I asked, Daddy gave me the question to ask. Once I asked that one question and they answered it, I didn't know where it was coming from. It really wasn't even coming from them. It was coming from that little boy. And that's what you got to know. The little boy, the little girl. A lot of times people are not even who they say they are. You're looking at a grown body, but you're not looking at a grown person. There's a difference. There's a difference. So, what I want you to know this morning, in or afternoon, evening, whichever time zone you're in, I want you to pay attention to what you're saying about you. Okay? I want you to pay attention what you're saying about you because what your what your enemies are saying about you, mm-mm, that doesn't apply to you. That applies to them. That's what they say. Remember Matthew 16:13 through 16. Jesus said, what's the word on the street? Then he asked his inner circle, okay, what do y'all say? And the only way he could know his inner circle was on point was because what he'd already said about himself, what he already knew about himself. So when his inner circle said what he knew. Okay, I got some real boys in my circle. Mm-hmm. I got some real men up in here because they know. Now behaviors all the time don't confirm what people know, and we'll get into that tomorrow. But the fact that they know was the bottom line for Jesus. And you need to know. But the only way, like I said, the only way he could know they knew was what he knew about his own self. You got to figure out what you know about your own self. You can't depend on what other folk think about you. Sometimes, you remember I said last week, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. People feel like you the Queen of England today, tomorrow, you Hell's Angel. People's opinion change based on what they're going through, based on what they need from you, and whether they get it or not. That's how people's opinions are. And it's sad that it's like that. It is. It's sad that it's like that. That's why you have, that's why you have to know what you say about you. So when you hear all the chatter, you hear the word on the street, what? What? Okay. See, we got to know, you got to know, you got to know. Listen, Matthew 12 and 37 says, by your words, you will be justified. By your words, you will be condemned. Now, what it's saying is, that's Matthew 12 and 37. Thank God for my device. It does book, chapter, and verse. I know I've never been a book, chapter, and verse person. I just always know I remember what I read. Wasn't focusing on where it was at, focusing on what it was. And that's what I fed me. Okay? That's what I fed me. I got scriptures right now. My ritual in the morning are those 6 scriptures. And I that's who I am. That's how I behave. That's how I embrace my day. And we on with it. You get what I'm saying? That part. Now, what I want you to know is just that I want you to keep this week, I want you to keep Matthew 12:37 in front of you. For by your words, and in the King James Version it says, for by thy words thou art justified, and by thy words thou art condemned. What is it saying? Whatever you say about yourself, either you're justifying yourself or you condemning yourself. A lot of us, and these are who I'm talking to, because I want you to stop condemning yourself. A lot of us have condemned ourselves. Listen, you've heard, those that have been following me, you heard me say it. I have, my children have even told me, Mama, you're beautiful. Now you might be looking at me right now and say, well, I am beautiful. This is the body I'm in. But me, I'm in here. I'm inside this body and I am beautiful. But when they used to tell me that before I got this mindset, before I really came to into agreeing with daddy, before I embraced all of this awesomeness, my children would tell me, Ma, you beautiful. I said, oh, y'all stop it. Stop. I'm not. Stop it. They said, Ma, yes, you. I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I started picking out different things to let them know, no, that's not, I'm not beautiful. They said, Ma, that has nothing to do with your beauty. I said, yeah, dude. That's the first thing people say. I had the child that made me a mother. She didn't get up off me. I would always tell my children how beautiful they were. Oh my God, how beautiful they were. Beautiful children. Beautiful children. Them children were so beautiful. So beautiful. And guess what? My oldest looked at me one day. She said, I want you to get a mirror. She said, I want you to look in it. And I thought she was, something, maybe something was on my nose or something. And ready to, I got ready to look in the mirror. She said, I want you to see what you telling me. And when she said that, I said, oh, girl, I thought you something was on. She said, no, I need you to see the beauty. You telling me I'm beautiful? Look who I came from. When she said that, it's like I got a punch in the boxing ring. She said, how you going to call me beautiful and you birthed me? How did we do that one? How did we do that one? She said, you can't tell me I'm all this beautiful and then look at yourself and don't see no beauty. She said, you can't do that. My oldest is a girl. And I told her, I said, yes, I can. I said, I've seen some other folk put out some pretty babies. She said, uh-uh. She said, no. She said, not if the word is true. Because they grew up in a Christian home. I said, what are you talking about? She said, did God say he made everything to produce after its kind? I said, yeah. She said, there ain't no ugly folk putting out no pretty children. She said, if they ugly, the children ugly too. I said, girl, stop. There's not no. She said, Mom, she said, I'm telling you again, look in the mirror. I said, well, in that case, then they're not any ugly people. She said, no, I ain't going that far now. She said, because I've seen some folk. I said, but they're beautiful inside, they're not beautiful outside. She said, I can buy that. She said, but I'm here to tell you. We talking about me and you right now. She said, just look in the mirror. What do you see? Well, the older the child gets, she looked just like me. I told her, please don't do nothing. Because they would go right by her house and come to mine thinking it's me. That's how much she looks like me. Serious business. That's how much she looks like me. Serious. But she said, I want you to get this thing. This was when I can't even tell you how I was. That's how I can talk to you with such passion about this. Because I know it works. When I began to embrace that I am beautiful, when I began to embrace that, when I began to embrace that, it felt funny. Let me help you. It felt funny now. It did. It felt funny because I'm beautiful. Ooh, it just didn't sound right. Why didn't it sound right? Because all those decades, that's not what I was embraced as. There was always somebody embraced better than me. I was never on an even plane with nobody. Yeah, I'm just letting you into a little bit of my life. And then when I met somebody who I walked down the aisle to, it got worse. It got worse. And it almost destroyed me. It really did. But I'm here today, and that's why I can talk to you. And we're going to talk some more about this tomorrow because I want you to say about yourself what Daddy says about you. Agree with him so that you can start seeing the beauty that's in you on a regular basis, on a daily basis. I don't want you to miss a day not seeing how royal and beautiful you are, feeling chosen. Okay? Join me tomorrow. We're going to talk about it some more. Have a good day.